All right, thank you, Caitlin. Our next guest is using the power of the law to advocate for some of the most vulnerable members of our community. Christina Jones is the director of the Special Education Clinic at the Notre Dame Law School, where she leads a team that provides pro bono legal services to families navigating the special education system. And through her work, she is helping ensure that all students receive the support and opportunities that they deserve, while also training future attorneys to practice with compassion, skill, and purpose. Christina, first of all, welcome to Notre Dame Day. So happy to have you.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And to begin, can you tell us a little bit about this special education clinic and then the types of issues that you and your students are working on?
Absolutely. So our students are law students that are working under my supervision on special education cases. So we're helping families get found eligible for special education services. We're helping them get those services that they need, the accommodations, the placement, helping them get behavioral supports to stay in school, things to make sure that the students are able to access their education, and keeping them engaged in school.
Yeah, that's so incredibly important. Let's talk about why is legal advocacy in special education such an important, sometimes overlooked area in law?
Well, about 20% of Americans have a disability at some point in their life, and people sometimes forget that it's one of the largest minority groups in the country. Unfortunately, with education and special education, people don't realize just how much law is behind all these decisions that are being made for their children. And so we're hoping to fill that gap and to be able to walk alongside families in navigating what can be a very complicated and confusing process and help them access the services that they need.
Yeah, certainly it can be confusing. And in your experience, what impact does access to legal support have on the educational outcomes for students with disabilities?
Certainly. Sometimes it can help them make sure that they graduate with an appropriate diploma. It can help keep them in school rather than resorting to suspensions or other kinds of outplacement opportunities. It can get a child with dyslexia a reading program so that then they have access to literature the rest of their lives. There's a variety of ways that we can make sure that these students are getting what they deserve and that the families are feeling heard and validated through the process.
Okay, let's learn a little bit more about you.
Sure.
And so what drew you to focus your legal career on special education and civil rights? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So like many people in my area of law, it comes from a personal connection. So I have a family member of a cousin with autism. My family had to resort to getting a lawyer to make sure that she stayed in a school that was safe for her, that where she was making progress. And it really stuck with me that my aunt and uncle were able to afford an attorney and get that placement that she needed, and many of her classmates didn't have those same opportunities. So I've been very fortunate to be able to blaze my trail, even as a Notre Dame Law student, to eventually be able to serve families like mine and help them feel heard and validated and have a voice in making sure that these children are not overlooked, not seen as numbers or costs, but as valued members of their educational communities.
What has the response been from families that are taking advantage of this?
The response has been overwhelmingly positive. The families really appreciate having law students be able to explain things to them, to advocate for them, and to help them deal with the emotions that come along with having these children with disabilities and having these challenges. So it's an honor and a privilege for our students to be able to assist in this way, and our families have been very supportive of the efforts that we've been undertaking.
Well, that is absolutely incredible. And finally, what do you hope that students kind of take away from their time in the clinic beyond, of course, just the legal training?
Certainly. I think there's certainly valuable legal skills, right? We want them to learn interviewing and counseling and all those important things, building case strategy, but we also want them to feel the value of their law degree, how much impact it can have in the future. We want to be training them so they can go out and do pro bono work when they're at law firms and when they're engaging in the practice of law, but also just understanding the value of walking alongside people through difficult times. We want to teach them empathy and compassion and all those things that make a Notre Dame lawyer different.
Exactly, and carrying that into the workforce as well.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us and sharing your incredible story, and we'll continue to follow the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you again. Let's now send it over to Shannon Lipscomb, who is standing by at our Cause Corner. Shannon?